Well, good morning. Man, you are so full of enthusiasm this morning. Good morning. Okay. That's as good as we're going to get, huh? Okay. Parents, you need to give them coffee in the morning. I have here a few pictures that I want to share with you this morning. Now, this first picture, I don't expect any of you to know who this is. Those of you that can read might be able to tell me. But I know your parents, or some of your parents, will know. This is a movie poster. Do you know who that is? No? None of you know who that is? Roy Rogers. Yeah, that's Roy Rogers. Now, Roy Rogers is a little bit before your time. But Roy Rogers was a pretty neat cowboy. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be Roy Rogers. Roy Rogers dressed in nice, clean clothes that were always ironed. His boots were shined all the time. And that was what I liked about Roy Rogers. Plus, he had a pretty cool horse. You know what his horse's name was? No? What was his horse's name? All right. See, I told you they knew. So why am I showing you a picture of Roy Rogers? That's a good question, huh? That's my job to know. When your parents were little, and we'd go to the movies on Saturday afternoon, and there'd be a Western that we would watch. And we'd watch this Western on the movie screen. Any of you been to a movie? So you know what I'm talking about? Okay. We'd watch this Western, and as soon as Roy Rogers or one of the other good guys got into a terrible place, and we thought the end was near, the movie would stop. And then across the screen it would say, "To be continued." And that was to get us to come back next week. Well, our sermon lessons, or our gospel lessons rather, have been the last few weeks the same kind of thing. Each week we've gotten a little taste of what the Holy Spirit is. And at the end of each of those gospel lessons, we could have said, "To be continued." So you come back next week. And actually, we wish that all of the gospel lessons were that way, and that way this church would be full every single week, but we're left on our own for that. Some of you may remember 2 weeks ago, Pastor brought something with him to church to talk about the Holy Spirit. Do you remember what he brought? Comfort kitty? You remember the comfort kitty he brought? Yeah. And he talked about how the Holy Spirit was the comforter, that he made us feel better inside. And last week he brought, what did he bring last week? Do you remember? None of you were probably here last week. That's why you don't remember. He brought popcorn. Yeah, and he talked about how we can't see inside the popcorn, just like we can't see inside ourselves where the Holy Spirit is. But the popcorn, when it explodes, we see the inside. And when, don't worry, we're not going to explode, but when we're full of the Holy Spirit, we come out and we tell people about the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit comes out so that people can see it. And in our lessons this morning, we're going to talk about St. Paul going to this place. It's a huge rock. You see that rock? That big rock? You see that rock there? You know what the name of that rock is? Yeah, Areopagus. Very good. Yes. Yeah. See that big rock? St. Paul went there, and this is in Greece. And St. Paul went there and talked about God to the people of Greece. And he did such a great job, just like all of Pastor's sermons are on the internet, so you can go and watch them over and over again. He did such a great job in his sermon that they made a plaque there, right there on that rock, right there in the front. They put a plaque that has Paul's sermon on there. And we're going to hear that sermon as we read the message this morning. And the last one, I'm sure none of you know what this is. The earth and the moon. Who made the earth and the moon? Thank you so much. I was concerned somebody wasn't going to know the answer. That's right. God made the earth and the moon. And do you know that you're standing on this earth? How do you know that? Do you see it? Does it look like that? If you look outside the window, does it look like this? No. Then how do you know? You just believe it, right? You just have faith. Somebody told you that's the earth, and you believed it. Well, how do we know about Jesus? The same reason. Somebody told us about it. It's in the Bible, and people have been telling us about Jesus for 2,000 years. And Jesus is just as real as this earth. He's just as real as this. As the gravity that holds you on here, as the green part that you walk on, it's just as real as that. And that's what the Holy Spirit is going to talk to us today about in our gospel lesson, is how real Jesus is. And we know that by the Holy Spirit. So that's our to be continued for this week. Next week, it's a little bit different. So it's not to be continued, but we still want you to come back next week, okay? All right, good.